Congress. Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid talked about the election results. After Senator Reid, we'll hear from House Speaker Republican John Boehner.
I'm not kidding. I'm glad to be back. Good to see everybody. It was a late night, early morning, but it's clear that we're going to increase our majority. But the results show a number of things. A number of things for certain. One is that we're the party of diversity. Look at the results from all over the country. So I'm looking forward to working with so many great, accomplished senators next year. I've talked to virtually every one of them. And remind everyone, when I came to the Senate, Barbara Mikulski was it, as far as women. Now, about a third of our caucus is going to be women. Remarkable work done by all these great senators-to-be. But the election's over, and we have enormous challenges ahead of us. They're right here. And we have to sit down and go to work on it now, not wait. This was really the message the American people sent from all over. And that is, they're tired of these partisan gridlocks. They're tired of things like, well, I have one goal, defeat Obama. That's gone. Obama was reelected overwhelmingly. American people want us to work together. Republicans want us to work together. Democrats want us to work together. They want a balanced approach to everything, but especially this situation that we have dealing with this huge deficit and taxes that are part of that. I can remember my first press event with you after I had been selected as the leader, Democratic leader. I was so afraid. I really was. And as I do on occasion, off the cuff, said that I know how to fight. I know how to dance. I don't dance as well as I fight, but I'd much rather dance any time. And I still feel that way. It's better to dance than to fight. It's better to work together. Everything doesn't have to be a fight. Everything doesn't have to be a fight. That's the way it's been the last couple of years. So, everyone should comprehend, especially my Senate friends, that legislation is the art of compromise, is consensus building. That's what the political scientists who have studied this for generations say. They continue to say, the way we get things done is to work together. But we need the Republicans to help us. Compromise is not a dirty word. I'm willing to negotiate any time on any issue. And, I've spent a lot of time here, but before I came here, that's what I did. I was a lawyer. I had lots and lots of jury trials. And frankly, every time you had a jury trial, in one sense, it was a failure. You should have been able to work something out. And so I am convinced that we need to start working together a lot. Gridlock is not the solution. It's the problem. And that's what's happened. I repeat, to have the leader of the Republicans in the Senate say his number one goal is to defeat Obama, and that's how we legislated out there for 2 years. Having filed cloture on motions to proceed to judges. I filed cloture on 17 different judges. That's never been done before. This is no time for excuse in any way. It's time we get to work. We can achieve really big things when we work together. That's what the American people said last night in a big way. and I'm going to do everything within my power to be as conciliatory as possible. I want to work together, but I want everyone to also understand you can't push us around. We want to work together. Questions?
Senator Reid, I talked this morning to a couple of Republicans who said that some think that actually the reason Republicans did so badly in the polls last night, Senate Republican candidates, is because Mitch McConnell and leadership did not push for enough amendments on for enough votes on amendments like marriage or repealing health care or guns. It looks like Republicans will push very hard for these.
How about 6 weeks on contraception on the highway bill? Is that a pretty good start for them? Did they remember that?
Well, it looks like there are going to be a number of many more filibusters on motions to proceed. Do you think do you have any plans to change the filibuster?
Yes, I do. I've said so publicly, and I continue to feel that way. I'm not going to talk specifically, but you asked a question, I'm answering it. Yes, I do. I think that the rules have been abused, and that we're going to work to change them. We're not going to do away with the filibuster, but we're going to make the Senate a more meaningful place. We're going to make it so that we can get things done, and so that people who want to vote on, I don't know what you mentioned, but same-sex marriage and abortion. I mean, the American people aren't interested in that. American people are doing something about this staggering debt we have, and the election was pretty clear in a number of ways. The president campaigned around the country saying, we know what the problems are with this fiscal problem. We just need some revenue. That was the issue. The mandate was, look at all the exit polls, look at all the polling. The vast majority of the American people, rich, poor, everybody agrees that the richest of the rich have to help a little bit.
Mr. Reid, on the fiscal clip, Speaker Boehner saying no on repeating his stand on no increase in taxes. How do you see finding common ground, getting a deal with that kind of position?
I had a conversation this morning with the Speaker. It was a pleasant conversation, as all my conversations with him are. And he's going to do an event this afternoon at 3:30 or so, and I think she'll wait and see what he has to say there. I have a fine relationship with him. My staff works well with his staff. And this isn't something that I'm going to draw any lines in the sand. He's not going to draw any lines in the sand, I don't believe. And I think we need to work together.
Do you think a deal is possible?
Of course. I mean, it's so simple. We know what the issue is.
Senator Reid, Speaker Boehner has said that he didn't think the lame duck Congress was the right place to address these issues. What's your take on that? Do you think it can be done? Must it be done before the end of this Congress?
Well, the Republicans have to make a choice. We're willing to work something out. We're willing to work it out sooner rather than later. And I don't know how they think they benefit by waiting until sequestration kicks in.
So are you doing a broad overhaul of taxes, a broad solution to the fiscal cliff, or are you looking at a temporary?
I personally, I'm not for kicking the can down the road. I think we've done that far too much. I think we know what the issue is. We need to solve that issue. Waiting for a month, 6 weeks, 6 months, that's not going to solve the problem. We know what needs to be done. And so I think that we should just roll up our sleeves and get it done.
You mentioned you spoke to a number of
I've been leaning to the right far too much. Any questions over here?
The Treasury Department said last week that we will hit the debt ceiling again near the end of the year. Are you prepared? Will you support?
I think the debt ceiling will come after the first year. But please, everyone, accept this. They tried it before. They, the Republicans. They tried it before. We're going to shut down the government, and we're not going to raise the debt ceiling. If they want to go through that again, fine. But we're not going to be held subject to something that was done as a matter of fact in all previous administrations.
Will you support raising it by another $2.4 trillion?
If it has to be raised, we'll raise it.
Have you spoken to Jack Lew or any other White House official about their position on the fiscal cliff? And we have an idea of when they are going to speak out about what they want to see done.
I had a nice conversation with the President last night, and we're, of course, going to work together. And the President made very clear more than once in his very fine speech he gave to the American people last night after he was declared the winner, that he wants to work to get this done. And so we're going to do that. And I like Jack Lew, Pete Rouse, everybody down there, but I'm kind of listening to the president first.
Senator Reid, your conversation with Angus King last night, what was your impression about his intentions?
I've talked to Governor King on several occasions the last 24 hours, and we've had some very pleasant conversations. And he's going to make a decision soon as to what he's going to do, but you should talk to him.
The president has said that he won't accept any tax deal that doesn't allow the top Bush tax cut brackets to expire to veto them. Is that your position too?
Well, as I tried to make clear here, there was a message sent to us by the American people based on the campaign. And that is, people making all this money have to contribute a little bit more. And all the exit polling, all the polling we've done, the vast majority of the American people support that, including rich people. To have this diatribe by the Republicans, some Republicans saying, we're not going to raise taxes on small business. Please, everybody. That is, we know that the president, we all agree that there's about 3% of the people who are worried about their tax increase are small business. 3%, including Donald Trump. So I don't think we should worry about him too much.
Can I ask you about immigration?
I'm glad you
had
did.
mentioned that your party is the party of diversity. Given the results of the election, next Congress, where does immigration reform fall in with your priority list?
Very high on priority. And here's why. We have tried, I have tried. I spent more time on immigration the first 2 Congress ago than any other issue. And it's interesting what's happened. Kennedy and McCain led that drive. McCain hasn't been with us in immigration reform. So, only thing we need to get immigration reform done are a few Republican votes. I get 90% of the Democrats. Couldn't we get a few Republicans to join us? So it's high on my list. And we're going to have some votes on it. And if the Republicans continue, it's at their peril. Not for political reasons, because it's the wrong thing to do to not have comprehensive immigration reform. The system's broken and needs to be fixed.
How high on your list, though? I mean, is it going to be one of the first things we see next year?
It's very, very high on my list. Yes.
Given that House Republicans lost seats in this election and Senate Democrats picked them up, despite the fact that a lot of the Washington dynamics have stayed the same, do you feel like heading into this lame duck that Democrats have leverage?
Young lady, I think your statement, things stay the same, is about as far off base as you could be. We had an overwhelming re-election of the president. We picked up seats in the Senate. We picked up seats in the House. That's not the status quo.
So with the president receiving 2% more than Governor Romney in the popular vote and actually getting 10 million votes less than 2008, does he have a mandate for his agenda in your mind?
I'm not going to get into the George Bush, I have a mandate on Social Security type thing. The president won the election overwhelmingly. And we have things that we are obligated to do for the American people. One is to get our problems solved fiscally and maintain a strong nation, and something we haven't talked about here this morning, create jobs, which is also, if we get a little cooperation from the Republicans, we can create a lot of jobs. Let's just think about this. All the infrastructure they stopped us from doing. I hope they don't do that again. Teachers, firefighters, police officers. You know, we had a piece of legislation on the floor that said these million people, public employees that have been laid off, we're going to stop layoffs and bring them back. And we're going to have a surtax of people making more than $1 million a year would have to pay a surtax of 0.3%. People who are making more than $1 million a year, the vast majority of them are happy to pay that. The only place that people disagree are Republicans in Congress. It's so wrong. So the answer is we have a lot of things we need to do. Job creation is one of the easiest things we can do. We just need some help from the Republicans.
Sorry.
I've had about enough of this, but
Senator, how do you plan to reset your relationship with Senator Heller now that the campaign is over? And do you think the two of you can work together on this?
Dean Heller and I have been friends for 25 years. In that difficult election I had in 1998. He was a champion. He was Secretary of State, and he was so helpful. I have affection for Dean Heller. I like him a lot. We'll be able to work together. I worked with John Ensign, who I beat by 428 votes in that election I just talked about, and I think that everyone has to acknowledge what good friends we are and how well we work together. So I have no problem with that.
You had that big blow up in September over Cloverfield. Do you think you can get beyond that?
As far as big blow ups, that's so minor in my life. Okay? Thanks, everybody.